here, and excited to share with you tonight some of the missing factors that I see people struggling with when they're trying to find their own happy. So my book was a lot about my journey of feeling like, gosh, I've been working on myself all my life. I do more personal development than pretty much anyone I know. I'm the most self-reflective person. And then why am I working so much harder than everyone else just to be happy? And why is it not actually working for me? What am I missing? Does that feel relatable to you? Do you feel like, gosh, I've been to therapy, I've tried a whole bunch of stuff, it seems to work for other people, but I'm just not quite getting it? Or, you know, what's my problem? I was riding in the car the other day with someone, and she said a classic thing that I hear repeatedly from the people that I work with, which is, gosh, what's just wrong with me? Why am I different? What's going on? Like, what's wrong with me? So if you have ever felt like, what's wrong with me? How come I don't get it? Like, what am I missing? You're not alone. And you might just be missing some things that you didn't understand about yourself that are just a little bit different about yourself, that if you understood them, maybe you could stop judging you, maybe you could find a little more ease, and maybe it would help you access your own happy. Glad to see you all here, and if you have questions, please pop them in the chat. If there's something that you're wondering about, pop them in the chat. I'll do my best to answer your questions as we go along. If you feel like, yeah, I felt like I'm a little different, there's something wrong with me, give me a little smiley face in the comments, so I know that I'm speaking to you and that you're with me. So this thing of like, gosh, what's just wrong with me? And I've talked about this before, and I'm just going to touch on it briefly because I actually want to talk about something else tonight, which is another of the factors that I see keeping people from really finding their own happy. So factor number one, that was the biggest thing that really changed things for me, and that my work is really focused on is, are you a sensitive person? Are you an empathic person? Do you feel affected by people around you, experiences around you, maybe more than other people do? Do bright lights and loud noises bother you? And what if that's not something that's wrong with you? What if it's just something that's a little bit different about you than maybe the majority of the population? What if you just sense things more acutely? What if you're just more aware of your environment, of maybe other people's feelings than a whole bunch of the people that you associate with? And in our culture, we live in a culture, and I was also in the car ride that I was talking to this woman about, gosh, what's just wrong with me? We're talking about, in our culture, we have a very external focused culture, a very external driven culture. We are rewarded for being extroverted. We are rewarded for pushing ourselves, for engaging, for going, for being active. We are not so much rewarded for being quiet, for being introspective, for being self-connected, for that internal kind of experience. And so if you're one of those people that needs a little bit more space to yourself, needs a little bit more quiet time, downtime, maybe you just like to be alone sometimes, you might end up feeling like, gosh, what's wrong with me? Am I just different or weird? Or, you know, I'd rather just go in my room and read a book, or, you know, I'd rather stay home and drink tea with a couple of friends than go out to this party. And yeah, maybe you're just different. And maybe there's not something that's wrong about that. Maybe you just haven't learned how to navigate that or how to work with that in a way that really works for you. And what if you could? And that's a lot of what my work is about, is the intersection of being a sensitive person, being an empathic person, and your mental health, and how those go together and how they affect each other and influencing each other. And when you learn how to work with being sensitive or empathic, you can really find a new level of peace, of happiness, of engagement with the world that doesn't leave you feeling so mixed up, screwed up, or like there's just something wrong with you. So in my work, where I see people who feel like, gosh, I've been working on myself so long and I just don't get what my problem is or what I'm missing. Why can't I just be happy? Which was definitely my story. So hand raise here, 20 plus years of personal development, and I still sometimes felt suicidal. I still struggled with depression, and I just didn't get what I was getting. So one of the big factors, and that I talk about in my book, Finding Your Own Happy, which give me a thumbs up if you have read my book or if you've gotten a copy. And if not, you can get a free copy at findingyourownhappybook.com. That's findingyourownhappybook.com. And in there, I talk a little bit about that and how I finally discovered that I was actually incredibly empathic. And that was part of what was keeping me from finding my own happy, keeping me from all of the self-help, all of the personal development work that I was doing. It was keeping me from really experiencing results, because actually I was just feeling everything that was going on around me from everybody else, and thinking it was my stuff, thinking it was my sadness, thinking it was my depression, all this kind of stuff. And until I learned how to really work with that, which also I talk a lot about in the book and explore in the book, and give you some really great tools to work through those things in the book so that you can get back to feeling sane and happy. That really was one of the key factors for me. So key number one that people are missing to finding their own happy is that you might be incredibly insensitive or empathic. And that's certainly been the majority of stuff for me, has been related around that. But another thing that I find that people are often missing, and see if you can relate to this or if this has any resonance for you, is that a lot of the stuff that is tripping us up, so to speak, or influencing our experience of life, our behavior, our do things just ever show up in your life and you're like, what's going on here? I just don't get it. Or like, why do I keep doing this thing? Or why can't I just let this go? Today I was commenting on somebody's post about, gosh, I just can't get over this. Why can't I let it go? I really want to let it go, and I'm really stuck on it. I'm really attached to it. Could that be that there's something going on that's below the surface? So the second thing that I really notice when people are struggling to get to a place of feeling happier in their lives, and it seems like the things that they're doing aren't really working, is that it's at the level of the subconscious. And until I learned how to work with and access and shift those subconscious places in myself, I just felt stuck a lot of the time. I just knew that I felt bad and I didn't understand why, and I didn't understand what was going on with me. It wasn't until I really started to look at and understand how to work with those subconscious layers and how to discover what was going on below the surface that maybe I was missing, that things really shifted and changed for me. Actually, right before I got on this call, I was feeling rather out of sorts, actually. It just made a 15-hour drive to Oregon from Utah, and just feeling funky. And so I sat down and I started to do some work to examine, okay, what's really going on here? What is this icky angst about? Because I really wasn't getting it. And as I use the tools that I have to delve into the subconscious, it opened up, it shifted for me. I had more space, and now I feel pretty good, actually. So if you're wondering like, oh, I'm just not getting it, just not getting it, these things are never changing, could it be that you haven't done the work to look at what's really going on that subconscious level, on that deeper level of your experience of, and so just let me qualify for a second the subconscious, which is, to me, the subconscious is where you put into place a whole bunch of beliefs and patterns and ways of behaving so that you didn't have to deal with them every day with your conscious mind. So something happens in your life, you make a conclusion or assumption about it, and you kind of decide how you're going to handle that situation going forward. And then you forget about it, sort of like background program in your computer, and then it just runs in the background. So it's like an automatic responder to what shows up in your life. So X happens, I do Y. I don't even think about it. It doesn't even cross my conscious mind. It's just how I operate. It's just how I function. It's just how I engage with life. Well, that's great, but if that pattern got put in place when you were 5 or 10 or wherever it got put in place, maybe it served you at a certain point in your life and it was a coping mechanism, it was a survival strategy, but then you get to different circumstances, different conditions in your life, and it doesn't serve you anymore. So an example that I use a lot is to say, let's say you grew up in a family where it wasn't really safe to say what you thought for whatever reason. And so you just came up with the conclusion like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to keep my opinions to myself. Now, in that family situation where you're dependent on your parents and your family to survive, that might have been a really smart survival mechanism, coping mechanism. Now, let's say you grow up and you wonder, like, why do I have such a hard time expressing myself or sharing my viewpoint, sharing my opinion? And you wonder, like, why can't I get over this? Well, that automatic response from when you were 3 could be still going on. Hey, Robin, nice to see you here. And so if you haven't adjusted that, it's going to be going on under the surface, continuing to try to keep you safe when actually you don't need it anymore. Actually, something else is going on. And unless you have the tools to really address some of that and shift some of that, it can keep you stuck in a lot of old stuff. I work with something called transformational kinesiology, which has radically changed my life, which my clients absolutely love, because it's this tool where we get to dive in to what's going on under the surface and very quickly identify the subconscious belief or pattern or situation that's maybe affecting your current life. And it's just like laser focus right into what's really going on for you. And I have to say, there have been days when I've been feeling so out of sorts, so maybe even depressed, and within the matter of an hour of doing the work, of working on a session and delving into what's really going on at the underneath layers, it's like I feel like I got my whole life back. I got my whole energy back. I got my vitality back in a way that, like, there's literally this one time that I felt like I was just carrying around this heaviness for months that I could not shift, and nothing I was doing was working. And finally, my mom does a similar work, this kinesiology work that really gets to the heart of what's really going on. And so I said, Mom, help, like, I need my life back. I'm like, I can't, like, I'm having trouble functioning. And so we sat down and we did a session. We walked through the layers, and I got to this place of awareness about this conclusion where it really felt like I was damned if I do and damned if I don't, and I felt really stuck. And we shifted it, and really the most remarkable thing is that through that process, I literally felt like I had my life back. I had enthusiasm, I had joy for living again, I had excitement, and I've really experienced that process over and over again of being in a tight, contracted, I don't know what's going on place. What is wrong with me? What's my problem? Why can't I just get over this and move on? And like, to sitting down, doing the work, and in a matter of a session, feeling like, wow, my whole world has changed. I feel like myself again. I feel like I have energy and vitality for living. So if you're feeling anywhere that you're like in a really stuck place and you just can't figure it out, you just can't work out what's going on for you, what's going to set you free, it might be because there's something at that subconscious level that you really need to work on, really need to look at, and really need to change. If you spent your whole life like in this struggle of like, why can't I get to the next level? What am I missing? Why am I still so unhappy? I mean, that's what my book is about, right? Finding your own happy. Or there's like these mental health pieces that you just can't work out. There also might be some subconscious layers going on there that could really shift and change for you. And I'd love to actually get on a call with you. So if this is resonating for you at all, let's do some work together. And actually, if anybody wants to, oh, never mind, I can't add you on the call tonight. I was thinking I could add someone and do a little bit of work with them, but I'm not using the right technology. But if you're feeling stuck in a particular way, in a particular place, hop on a free consultation with me and let's see if we can pinpoint what that thing is that's keeping you stuck, where maybe the subconscious is tripping you up, or there's just something that you haven't yet been able to identify. And what if we could shift and change that for you? What if we could open that up in your life? And if you're watching, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. Any thoughts, insights on this topic of working with the subconscious and what's going on at the subconscious layer. And oh, I wanted to share. So as I was preparing for this call, like I said, I traveled quite a distance today and I'm unpacking and I found this beautiful card for us. So I just want to share this with you tonight. Healing. Where in your life, can you see it? It's a little washed out. So a little angel card. Healing, the angel card of healing. Where in your life do you feel like you're still in some need of healing? Some need of nurturing, shifting, changing? What could be really healing for you? And happy to answer and explore that with you. Is there a place in your life that you're needing some healing, you're needing some nurturing, you're needing some well-being? And what would it take for you to give that to yourself, to receive that for yourself, and to support your own well-being? And so one of the tools that I use, like I was saying before I got on this call, I was feeling a little out of sorts, and I sat down and I gave myself the space to do that work, to look at what is the subconscious wanting from me, what is it needing, what can I shift or change about my experience to bring more sense of spaciousness, peace, lightness, joy to my life. So I'll just close out tonight with a little bit of a healing to share with all of you and to bring some more sense of ease and peace and joy and healing to your life. So if you're watching now or later, just find yourself in a comfortable spot and just allow yourself to relax. Whatever you're carrying, whatever tension you might be holding, just see if you can let it go. If there's anything that you don't need to be holding on to right now, just let it go. See if you can just release it. Worries, thoughts, tensions. And bring yourself into the present moment. And as you connect with this present moment, listen inside of yourself, feel inside of yourself for where is that place that might be in need of a little bit of nurturing, a little bit of healing right now. Maybe it's a physical pain. Maybe it's emotional pain. But can you conjure that up inside of yourself? Where is that pain? If it's a physical pain, maybe you want to put your hands there. Maybe there's a pain in your heart. Can you just put your hands over that space? Wherever it might be. Just give yourself a gentle touch. Or if it's an emotional pain, can you just feel into, maybe there's a sadness, maybe there's a grief, maybe there's some anguish or anxiety. Whatever that is, can you just bring that that feeling, that space that needs healing into your space. And as you become aware of this place in you that maybe is still in need of some healing, can you surround that space with some light, with some healing light? See what color comes to you to bring into that space. See if you can connect to the energy or the quality that would be most healing or nurturing or comforting for you right now. So maybe if you're feeling sad, the energy that would feel the most comforting or healing for you would be the energy of a warm hug. Maybe if you have a physical pain, there's an energy of relaxation or release of tension. Just bring that energy into your space. See if you can invite that into whatever your sadness is, around whatever your sadness is. Just see if you can also feel that energy, bring that energy into the space. And with whatever color you imagine,